Hello, in this video we will discuss about the Horner syndrome. This Horner syndrome is basically the characteristics which that is due to the damage of the nerves. That nerve is the sympathetic nerves. So the sympathetic denervation of the face, a classic triad of unilateral symptoms. The ptosis, anhidrosis and meiosis. This the ptosis is basically the eyelid is not completely open, anhidrosis is basically the not sweating, and meiosis the constricted pupil during the sympathetic nervous system rather than the dilation. So the associated with this condition will lead to understand that Horner syndrome. So let's begin to understand first that sagittal cross section of the brain, which that is the cerebral cortex is here, frontal, medial, and occipital lobe of the cerebrum, and this is the limbic system, contain thalamus, hypothalamus, pituitary gland, and that is the limbic system, is basically related to the emotion, and the hypothalamus. This hypothalamus is basically control the thirst as well as sweating, etc. One normal the cool down and warm up the body and sweating. So this is the pons and medulla, and this is brainstem and cerebellum for control the balance of the body. So these pons and medulla contain three type of nerves pathway. Cranial nerve 3, 7 and 12, while the medulla oblongata, which that is related to the cranial nerve 5 and 10, that is basically the damage to Horner syndrome. Horner syndrome will arise when damage. So the ischemia, hemorrhage, brain hemorrhage, stroke, and the thrombosis and atherosclerosis, basically all things will be damaged. The nerves will lead to these three type of symptom will arise, and we can say that this is the characteristic of Horner syndrome. So let's begin to understand the bigger picture. For understanding this, is the orange color shows that the sympathetic chain, and this is first order neuron, second order neuron, and third order neuron will be moved. So first of all, this is the hypothalamus and the thalamus. This is the stellate ganglion are present, this bulging structure. This is the hypothalamus and thalamus. Below the thalamus, the hypothalamus, and below the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland are present. So anyhow, this is the arising the this is the basically the ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve, which that arise from it. This and on the other hand, this is the eye. This is the eyeball. This is contain this contains ciliary nerve, and that to sweat gland of forehead and hydrobiosis. So in this way, this is the to smooth muscle of eyelid control, and if the damage the ptosis. So this is the first order neuron will move downward toward the descending to the thoracic one ganglion of the sympathetic innervation. So this is the spinal cord, and in this way we'll go into the second neuron, and this is the sympathetic chain, a sympathetic chain of ganglion, which that is the nerve will arise and move to the third order neuron, the red color showing in the figure to understand. So this is the carotid artery will supply blood to the sympathetic chain of the nerves. So when blood supply will not sufficient, so the damage can be possible. So this is the third order lesion can be, first order lesion also, and the second order neuron is also lesion due to the not supply complete blood due to the ischemia, hemorrhage or stroke, due to the aortic problem, the carotid artery problem, and there are a lot of things, the thrombosis and low blood pressure. So the to pupil, the meiosis will be occur when the complete dilation will not occur, so the constriction. And on the other hand, here is the to smooth muscle of eyelid control these nerves is the to ptosis will be occur, so the eyelid will not control by this trigeminal nerve. Tri mean 3, so trigeminal nerve will arise from the single nerve to branches. So in this way, this is, you can see, this is the ciliary nerve, and which that's control the ciliary muscle, and this is the internal carotid artery. This internal carotid artery is basically the internally, this is the internal carotid artery. This internal carotid artery supply blood, and this internal carotid artery supply blood to the sympathetic chain. So how it's possible? Let's begin to understand. This is the circle of villus inside, and this is the carotid artery, the left and right carotid artery, as well as the basilar carotid artery and the basilar branches. And there is a lot of things, the cerebral artery, the frontal cortical cerebral artery, lateral, parietal, and there are a lot of things. You can watch another video which that is I had made previously. You can understand from this the circle of villus and the brain structure. So this is the internal carotid artery, and this is the ophthalmic carotid artery which that supply blood to the eyes. So this will be damaged, the internal carotid artery and ophthalmic carotid artery. When this carotid artery will be damaged, this is the middle cerebral artery and posterior communicating artery. So when this artery will be damaged, will lead to not completely supply blood to the sympathetic chain of ganglion. So when not completely, due to the atherosclerosis, stroke, and ischemia or thrombosis or blood clotting, or on the other hand, there are a lot of problems, the arteriosclerosis, etc. So the causes involve the pathology above. We will discuss the thoracic 1 ganglion which that arise, and brown squared syndrome will produce, and the lesion in posterior inferior cerebral artery, and Wahlberg syndrome is known as, and the cavernous sinus syndrome, and pan-coast tumor, lung cancer, and late stage syringomyelia and cluster headaches. Anyhow, let's begin to understand. Here is the lesion, here it can be lesion, and this is the lesion which that will lead to this problem, this Horner syndrome, which that is collectively symptom of the, and there are different type of symptom. There is a lot of symptom, but this basically this symptom can be occur. So this is the person which that's contain a half area is the damage due to the carotid artery damage or hemorrhage. So this is the ptosis, and this is the droopy eye, eyelid will not completely open, so you can see, and meiosis, the constriction of pupil during the sympathetic nervous system, the not completely delayed due to the damaged trigeminal nerves. And this is the anhidrosis, which that is the inability to sweat, and hyperemia. Hyperemia is the flushed skin will be occur due to the not sweating. So that is why the not sweating. So this nerves is basically is the this nerve is the ophthalmic division of trigeminal nerve. This trigeminal nerve is the three nerves which that arise from the ophthalmic division. So here you can see this is the structure. I am drawing bigger picture of eye, the levator, palpebrae, superior muscle, and superior dorsal muscle plate, which that is controlled by it, and short ciliary nerve is here, and the short ciliary nerve, and this is the long ciliary nerve which that's control the dilation and constriction of pupil. So sympathetic nervous system innervation will lead to dilate the muscle, the pupillary muscle, and this will lead to not occur. So in this way, the constricted pupil muscle. So this constricted pupil muscle is the function of the Horner syndrome during the sympathetic nervous system, while the accommodation of more light required the dilation of pupil will be the sympathetic nervous system due to the alertness will not function due to the Horner syndrome, due to this complication. So the risk factor of Horner syndrome majorly we will discuss here two types. So the injury to the neck or shoulder during delivery will lead to cause the neck injury, which that will lead to this problem. So that is why some people are looking like the half eyes will not completely open. So that is the function. And a defect of aorta at birth. So during the birth, the aorta can be defect, will not completely supply blood to the brain through subcarotid artery and carotid artery due to the damage. So they're not completely working. So the aortic arch can be damaged, will lead to this problem. The Horner syndrome can be occur. So I hope you make sense about the Horner syndrome. If you don't know about that, so please comment below and